Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Democrat that he is and all of that, might not really want to interfere in the quote-unquote internal affairs of the National Assembly. But you recall that we had that experience when the sitting president, Muhammadu Buhari, had said something similar. And as you recall, there are a lot of politicians and political analysts who were to come back and blame Buhari for Saraki becoming the Senate president. So it was an idealistic position that, no, I'm the president, it's a separate town, the separation of powers, you people do what you need to do. In the light of that experience, because there were a lot of complaints when, Senator Bukola Saraki became the Senate president, do you think, are you still, are you happy with that stance that Tinubu, being the Democrat that he is, might not want to interfere? I don't know that interfere is the right word, but maybe engage with colleagues from there.
I like your choice. I like your choice of word. I think he should engage. I think he should take charge. We saw what happened with Muhammad Buhari and how he managed and struggled to maintain unity and, of course, collaboration with the 8th Assembly. It didn't go too well. So that is why I said I've been hearing that people have been saying that he doesn't intend to interfere because of his democratic nature. But I'm saying very clearly that he does need to show some level of control at a time like this. He needs to let the people understand that if we want to go very far, then maybe we should work together and have this engagement with all regions clamoring for the leadership of the Senate, for example, to say, let us work together and see how we can progress collectively. Because at the end of the day, I think for lawmakers, the primary concern should be that they are a representative of the people and not for themselves, which is why I keep saying that at every point in time, there should be true engagement with the constituencies, with the stakeholders, ensuring that more than anything else, they are working towards an harmonious collaboration to see that the Nigerian people at the end of the day are the true first beneficiaries of this democracy. But in that same light, it's important that we must recognize that these people, at the end of the day, these people that we have put in there, if they are unable to work together with the executive and hopefully with the judiciary, they will not be able to provide those policies, those action plans that we would have to send to the civil service structure that we'll be hoping would see that all of these plans and policies designed by the three arms of government get executed so that the Nigerian people can have the benefits or the dividends of the democracy that they've always hoped for.
Okay, I've heard what you have said, that, look, by your analysis, and, by your analysis, really, no need to overlabor the point, the Northwest, you wouldn't, be surprised if the Senate president were to be zoned or it were to come from there. I wanted to ask your thoughts on how about the Southeast? Because, as you know, there's been a lot of talk in that direction. We need to, see what we can do so that everybody has a sense of inclusiveness, whatever other rationale that you might have heard. Your thoughts personally on the idea. You've explained why, to you, it would be the Northwest. But what do you think about those agitations?
Yeah, I think very, very strongly that for the sake of national unity and representation, I would love to see the Southeast as a Southeasterner as a Senate president. But again, when we look at these things, sometimes you're also looking at them from a perspective of the politics itself. There are emotions, there are sentiments that we actually like to cling to when we make all of this analysis. But again, we would also be very careful because Bola Ahmed Tinubu should also be thinking, if I make a Senate president from the Southeast and I lose some of the trust or political strength that I've built in the Northwest, how would I face them in another election cycle? Knowing fully well that the reaction from the Southeast hasn't quite shown that they will be willing to vote Bola Ahmed Tinubu should another election cycle come. Now, so it will now look as if you have indeed satisfied your sensitivity around what the people might say, but in the actual sense of it, politically, you have lost grounds. So these are critical areas that people should actually pay attention to. I'm from the North Central. I would have loved to see the Senate President emerge from my zone, but I'm just being realistic with regards to how you can move your politics forward.
As you said of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, that if you were to try to pander to the sentiment of what people might think, what would make people happy, I don't know that he's going to do that. I mean, the man did come up with what has been referred to as a Muslim ticket. And everybody was saying that, that is suicidal. That will never work. And all. But he's a man after his own mind, and it did work. So I doubt that the man is going to go in that direction. But when it comes to how about of course, the Senate President has to have, staying in the House of Reps, the Senate for the moment, we'll go over to the House of Reps perhaps. But how about the Deputy Senate President?
Yes, this is a good chance for the Southeast. I think the way the Nigerian politics works, and nobody should feel bad about what I'm about to say. We have a huge number of voters from the northern part of the country, and this is due to a lot of factors. Whether you want to look at it from the social, religious perspective, where we do not believe that restricting family growth should be an agenda. When you go to the north, you see a lot of people who have maybe 4 wives and a lot of children, and that is why we are more than anybody else in the country. But again, because it's politics and because it's about numbers, you always have to come back to the fact that that number is what you're actually looking for, and seeing how that number can help you achieve what you want to achieve. It has nothing to do with anything about superiority or a region feeling like it's better than the other region. No, it is about politics. And when it comes to politics, everything every politician is looking for is the numbers. So I'm going to say very critically that if you look back in history, especially after the Nigerian Civil War, before the Nigerian Civil War, as a matter of fact, there was a very good cordial relationship between the northern part of the country and the eastern part of the country. As a matter of fact, Ahmadu Bello and Nnamdi Azikiwe were like the best of buddies. And on the other side was Chief Awolowo. And after the war, after the Nigerian Civil War, that brotherhood between the north and the east was a bit tenuous. And that was why when Murtala Mohammed was assassinated, the North came together to pick somebody that felt they could trust. And they picked Obasanjo at that point in time, former President Obasanjo. And the reason for picking President Obasanjo was because they were hoping that President Obasanjo would hold on to power and see how he can run his space and give the power back to the North. Stage 1, he passed. He gave the power back to the North. The North emerged, as a matter of fact. And then I remember we had all of this brouhaha about the election was rigged and what have you. After we went through the military era again for many years, we came back to 1999, and the North had to pick somebody they felt they could trust again. And because of what had happened in 1979, they picked Obasanjo again. Now, Obasanjo managed the space for 8 years and still passed power back to the North. This is a history of almost 25, 30 years that has also regained the trust between the North and the West. And I can tell you very clearly, that relationship between, or that covenant between Obasanjo and some elders from the North is what has made the Southwest a better friend to the North today. Things do not just happen. People build relationships, and people work on those relationships to move forward, which is why my advice would be that I'm hoping that a Southeasterner would work really hard right now, hopefully to become the Deputy Senate President, only so that the Southeast can be seen in the forefront, and we can build that relationship, we can build that trust, and see how we can let the people in the North know that, look, those days are yesteryears. This is a new generation, and we need to move forward. Sometimes when I speak about this, people say, you know what, people are refusing to let go of what happened in 1966 or the Civil War. But let me tell you something, even in a state like the United States of America, it took them almost 200 years after their Civil War before a Southerner in the United States could emerge as a president.